Hey there. So let me ask you something. Have you ever dreamed of living in another country? Really living there, not just visiting for a week or two, but actually making a life somewhere completely different from where you grew up. Maybe you've imagined waking up in Paris, having coffee at a cafe, speaking French every day, or living in Tokyo, navigating the subway, experiencing a totally different culture. Or maybe New York, London, Sydney, somewhere that feels exciting and foreign and full of possibility. And here's the real question. Have you ever actually done it? Or if you have, what was it really like? Because the dream of living abroad and the reality of living abroad, they're often very different things, aren't they?
Oh, wow, Emily, you're hitting on something I know a lot about because I've lived abroad. I spent 3 years living in Spain, and you're absolutely right. What I imagined it would be like and what it actually was like, those were two completely different experiences. The fantasy was all sunshine and adventure. The reality included a lot of confusion, loneliness, bureaucracy, and moments where I seriously questioned what I was doing there.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome to English Club Podcast. I'm Emily, and I'm here with my friend Paul, and we're so glad you're here with us. This is our space where we learn English together in the most natural, honest way possible, just like we're all having a real conversation together.
And today we're diving deep into the topic of living abroad. The excitement, the challenges, the growth, the homesickness, all of it. Because living in another country is one of those experiences that changes you fundamentally. It's not just about seeing new places. It's about becoming a different version of yourself.
And speaking of living abroad, I actually lived in South Korea for 2 years. This was about 5 years ago. I got a job teaching English in Seoul. And before I went, I was so excited. I had this vision of my life would be like. I'd be this adventurous expat, exploring Asia, making international friends, having this glamorous, exotic life.
And then you actually got there and reality hit, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. The first month was one of the hardest months of my life. I was so overwhelmed. I couldn't read the signs, I couldn't communicate, I got lost constantly, I was lonely, I missed home so much, I cried almost every night. And I thought, what have I done? Did I make a huge mistake?
I had almost the exact same experience in Spain. The first few weeks, I was in this fog of culture shock and confusion. Everything was different. The food, the schedule, the social norms, everything. And I felt so isolated and out of place.
But here's the thing. We both stuck it out. And eventually, those countries became home. We adapted, we grew, we learned. And looking back now, living abroad was one of the best experiences of our lives, despite how hard it was at times.
Absolutely. It shaped who I am today. The person I was before Spain and the person I am now, they're different. Living abroad changed my perspective, my values, my understanding of the world and myself.
And today, we're going to share all of that with you. The good, the bad, the beautiful, the difficult. We're going to talk about why people choose to live abroad, what the challenges are, how to cope with culture shock, how to build a life in a new country. And of course, we're going to learn all the English vocabulary you need to talk about this experience.
This topic is so relevant because we live in an increasingly global world. More and more people are living outside their home countries for work, study, love, adventure, or necessity. Understanding this experience and being able to talk about it in English is really valuable.
Plus, if you're considering living abroad, or if you're currently living abroad, or if you've done it in the past, this episode will give you the language to express what that experience is like. The feelings, the challenges, the growth, all of it.
By the end of this episode, you're going to know all the key vocabulary related to living abroad. Terms like expat, culture shock, homesickness, adaptation. You're going to learn phrases for describing the experience. And you're going to hear real, honest stories from both of us about what living abroad is actually like.
And hey, before we dive in, if you're enjoying this podcast, please like and subscribe to our channel for more English learning podcasts. It really helps us create more content for you. Your support means the world to us.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. What does it mean to live abroad? Well, living abroad means residing in a country that's not your home country. You're not just visiting, you're living there, working there or studying there, or just being there for an extended period.
People who live abroad are often called expats. An expat, short for expatriate, is someone living outside their native country. Now, technically, expat and immigrant mean similar things, but culturally they're often used differently. Expat tends to be used for people from Western countries living elsewhere, while immigrant is used for people moving to Western countries. It's an interesting linguistic distinction that reflects some biases, honestly.
That's a good point, Emily. And there are different types of people living abroad. Some are there temporarily for work or study. They plan to return home eventually. Others are permanent immigrants who've moved to a new country to stay. Some are digital nomads working remotely while traveling. Some are retirees who moved somewhere with lower cost of living or better weather. The reasons for living abroad are diverse.
So let's talk about why people choose to live abroad. What motivates someone to leave their home country and build a life somewhere else?
Well, for me, it was a combination of things. I wanted adventure, I wanted to experience a different culture, I wanted to learn Spanish fluently, and honestly, I was a bit bored with my life at home. I felt stuck. Moving to Spain felt like hitting the reset button on my life.
For me, it was opportunity. I got offered a good job in Korea. The salary was better than what I could get at home. Plus, I'd always wanted to travel in Asia but couldn't afford it. This job would let me live there and explore the region, so it was partly practical, partly adventure.
A lot of people move abroad for work, like you did. They get offered a job opportunity, or they're transferred by their company, or they're looking for better career prospects that aren't available at home. Work is a huge motivator.
Education is another big reason. Students go abroad to attend universities, to learn languages, to get degrees that aren't available in their home countries. I had several friends in Korea who were there studying.
Some people move abroad for love. They meet someone from another country and move to be with them. This can be really challenging because you're navigating a new country while also navigating a relationship.
And some people move to escape something, maybe economic hardship in their home country, maybe political instability or danger, maybe social pressures or discrimination. They're seeking a better or safer life elsewhere. This is especially true for refugees and asylum seekers, though we usually don't call them expats. We call them refugees or immigrants.
Some people just want a change. They want to experience something different, challenge themselves, grow as people. Living abroad is definitely a growth experience.
Now, let's talk about the challenges of living abroad, because as exciting as it is, it's also really difficult in ways you might not expect.
The first major challenge is culture shock. Culture shock is the disorientation you feel when you're immersed in an unfamiliar culture. Everything is different from what you're used to, and it's overwhelming.
Culture shock typically happens in stages. There's the honeymoon phase, where everything is exciting and new. You're thrilled to be in this new place. Everything seems wonderful and exotic.
But then reality sets in. You enter the frustration or crisis phase. The differences that seemed charming now seem annoying or difficult. You're frustrated that you can't communicate properly. You're irritated by social norms you don't understand. You miss home intensely.
Oh, I remember this phase in Korea. Suddenly, all the things I found cute or interesting started bothering me. The way people pushed on the subway, the indirect communication style, the spicy food that was everywhere. I got so irritable and homesick.
Same in Spain. The late dinner times, the siesta culture where everything closed in the afternoon, the bureaucracy, the noise levels, things that were just different suddenly felt wrong or frustrating.
But if you stick it out, you eventually reach the adjustment phase. You start understanding the culture better. You develop coping strategies, you make friends, you find your rhythm. Things start feeling more normal.
And finally, if you stay long enough, you reach the adaptation or acceptance phase. The new culture becomes your new normal. You've integrated. You might even prefer some aspects of your new culture to your home culture.
The language barrier is another huge challenge. Even if you speak some of the local language, actually living in it, doing everything in a foreign language, is exhausting.
When I first got to Spain, I spoke decent Spanish. I'd studied it in school, but using it all day, every day, for everything from ordering food to dealing with the landlord to making friends, it was so tiring. My brain hurt every day from the constant translation.
And in Korea, I didn't speak Korean at all when I arrived. I had to learn from scratch while trying to survive daily life. Going to the bank, seeing a doctor, dealing with any problem, it was so stressful because I couldn't communicate.
And even when you do speak the language well, you miss subtleties. Jokes, idioms, cultural references. You can feel left out of conversations even when you understand the words.
Exactly. I remember being with Korean friends and they'd all laugh at something and I had no idea why. Or they'd reference a TV show or a historical event I didn't know. It made me feel like an outsider, even when I was included.
Loneliness and homesickness are massive challenges too. You're far from family and friends. You miss important events, weddings, birthdays, holidays, and you can't just pop home for the weekend when you're living on another continent.
I missed so many important family events while I was in Korea. My cousin's wedding, my nephew's birth, my grandmother's birthday, and it hurt. I'd see photos on social media and feel this ache of being left out of my own family's life.
And making friends as an adult in a new country is hard. Everyone already has their established friend groups. You're the new person trying to break in. And if there's a language barrier, it's even harder.
Though I will say I made some of my best friends while living abroad, other expats who were going through the same thing. We bonded over our shared experience of being foreigners trying to figure everything out.
That's true. The expat community can be really supportive. You help each other navigate the challenges. You celebrate holidays together. You become each other's surrogate family.
Practical challenges are huge too. Things that are simple at home become complicated abroad. Opening a bank account, getting a phone plan, finding an apartment, understanding tax laws, dealing with visa issues.
Oh, the bureaucracy. In Spain, I spent weeks trying to get my residence permit. So many documents, so many office visits, so many frustrating conversations with unhelpful officials. It was maddening.
And nothing works the way you expect. In Korea, everything was done online, but only if you had a Korean social security number, which I couldn't get for months. So I couldn't do basic things like order food delivery or sign up for a gym membership.
Healthcare in a foreign country can be scary too. What if you get sick? Can you explain your symptoms in the local language? Do you understand how the healthcare system works? Do you have insurance?
I got really sick once in Korea and had to go to the hospital. And even though the doctor spoke some English, it was still terrifying. I didn't fully understand what was wrong, what tests they were doing, what medication they were giving me. I felt so vulnerable.
And then there are the emotional and psychological challenges. Your identity can get shaken up when you live abroad. At home, you know who you are. You have a role, a place in society. But abroad, you're just the foreigner. You're always the outsider, no matter how well you integrate.
That's so true. In Korea, I'd always be the foreigner. People would stare at me on the street. Strangers would want to take pictures with me because I looked different. And while that wasn't always negative, it was constant. I was always aware of being different, being other.
And you can feel stuck between two worlds. When you're in your host country, you miss home. But then when you go home to visit, you've changed so much that home doesn't quite feel like home anymore either.
Yes, I went back to visit my family after being in Korea for a year, and I felt like a stranger in my own hometown. Everything seemed smaller, more boring. My friends' concerns seemed trivial. Compared to what I was experiencing abroad, I didn't quite fit anymore.
It's this weird in-between space. You're not fully part of your host country because you're foreign, but you're not fully part of your home country anymore because you've changed. Some people call this being a third culture person.
Now let's talk about the positive aspects of living abroad, because despite all the challenges, there are so many amazing things about this experience.
The personal growth is incredible. Living abroad forces you out of your comfort zone constantly. You have to be brave every single day. You have to adapt, be flexible, solve problems, and that builds resilience and confidence.
Absolutely. I became so much more independent and capable through living in Korea. Things that would have seemed impossible before, I learned I could handle. I became braver, more resourceful, more open-minded.
You gain a broader perspective on the world. You realize that your way of doing things isn't the only way, that your culture's values aren't universal. This makes you more understanding, more tolerant, less ethnocentric.
Living abroad cured me of thinking my country was the center of the universe. I saw that other cultures have different approaches, different priorities, and many of them work just fine. It made me more humble and more curious.
You learn so much. A new language, or you improve a language you already spoke, new customs, new history, new ways of thinking. You become more educated about the world.
And you make incredible memories and have adventures you'd never have at home. I got to explore Asia. I visited Japan, Thailand, Vietnam, Taiwan. I had experiences I'll remember forever.
The friendships you make are special too. There's something about going through the expat experience together that creates deep bonds. My friends from Spain were still close years later because we went through something intense together.
And you discover things about yourself. When everything familiar is stripped away, you find out who you really are underneath all the cultural conditioning. What do you actually value? What do you actually want? Who are you when you're not playing the role you always played at home?
That's deep, Emily, but it's true. Living abroad is like this mirror that shows you yourself more clearly, both your strengths and your weaknesses.
Now let's talk about practical tips for living abroad successfully. How do you actually navigate this experience well?
First, learn the language. Even if people in your host country speak English, learn their language. It shows respect. It helps you integrate. It makes daily life so much easier, and it enriches your experience immensely.
I so regret not learning more Korean before I went. I did eventually learn, but those first months would have been so much easier if I'd studied beforehand. So if you're planning to move abroad, start learning the language now.
Be open-minded and curious. Don't judge everything by your home culture standards. Try to understand why things are done differently. Ask questions. Be genuinely interested in learning about the culture.
And this is important. Don't constantly compare everything to home and complain. We've all met that expat who hates everything about their host country and constantly says, well, in my country, we do it better. That person is miserable and makes everyone around them miserable.
If you hate it that much, go home. But if you've chosen to live there, embrace it. Find things to appreciate. Focus on what's good about your new home, rather than what's lacking.
Build a support network. Make friends, both locals and other expats. Join clubs or groups. Find your community. Don't isolate yourself.
I joined a football team in Spain. Well, soccer team for the Americans listening. And that became my social circle. We played every week. We'd go out afterwards. I made real friends. Having that regular social activity was so important for my mental health.
Stay connected to home, but not too connected. Video call your family regularly. Keep up with close friends. But don't spend all your time on your phone looking at what's happening at home. Be present in your new life.
Find a balance. I'd have a weekly video call with my parents, monthly catch-ups with close friends. But I didn't check social media obsessively. I didn't need to know every tiny detail of what was happening back home.
Take care of your mental health. Living abroad is stressful. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to feel homesick or overwhelmed. Don't be too hard on yourself.
And if you're really struggling, seek help. Many cities have therapists who work with expats, or online therapy is available now. There's no shame in getting support.
Embrace the experience fully. Say yes to opportunities. Try new things. Travel. Be adventurous. This is a special time in your life. Make the most of it.
But also, it's okay to have quiet nights at home. You don't have to be constantly adventuring and exploring. Sometimes you just need to rest and recharge. Living abroad isn't a constant vacation.
Be patient with yourself. You won't adjust overnight. Give yourself time. Celebrate small victories. Oh, I successfully ordered food in Korean today. Win. I found a grocery store that sells familiar products. Victory.
And keep a journal. Seriously. Write about your experiences. You'll want to remember this, and it helps process your feelings.
Now let's talk about returning home. Because for most expats, at some point you do go back to your home country. And that transition can be surprisingly difficult.
It's called reverse culture shock. Your home country feels foreign because you've changed. Things that used to feel normal now feel strange. And nobody really understands what you've been through.
When I came back from Korea, I was so excited to be home. But then I got there and felt so disconnected. My friends wanted to hear about my experience, but only for like 5 minutes. Then they moved on to local gossip and concerns that seemed trivial to me.
And you realize you can't really explain what living abroad was like. People who haven't done it can't fully grasp it. So you end up feeling isolated even though you're surrounded by people who love you.
You might miss things about your host country, the food, the lifestyle, the friends you made. And people at home don't understand why you're not just thrilled to be back.
I missed Spain so much when I came back. The warmth of the people, the pace of life, the sunshine. And my friends at home were like, but you're home now, aren't you happy? And I was like, yes, but also no. It's complicated.
My advice for returning home is similar to moving abroad. Be patient.
Yourself. Give yourself time to readjust. Stay connected to friends from your host country. Maybe plan a return visit so you have something to look forward to.
And try to integrate what you learned abroad into your life at home. Keep speaking the language, cook the food, maintain the friendships. Let your abroad experience continue to enrich your life rather than being something you left behind.
Now, let's review the vocabulary we've learned about living abroad. We talked about being an expat or an expatriate, living in a foreign country or your host country, as opposed to your home country.
We discussed culture shock and its phases: the honeymoon phase, the frustration phase, the adjustment phase, and the adaptation phase. We talked about homesickness, which is the feeling of missing home.
We mentioned the language barrier, which is the difficulty communicating in a language that's not your own. We talked about integration, which is becoming part of your new community and culture.
We discussed visa issues, residence permits, bureaucracy, all the administrative challenges of living abroad. We talked about being a third culture person, someone who doesn't fully belong to either their home or host culture.
We mentioned reverse culture shock, the difficulty of readjusting to home after living abroad. And we talked about personal growth, resilience, and perspective, all benefits of the expat experience.
As we wrap up, I want to say that living abroad is one of those experiences that's hard to fully capture in words. It's transformative, it's challenging, it's rewarding, it's frustrating. It's all of these things at once.
If you're considering it, I'd say go for it. Yes, it's hard. Yes, you'll struggle sometimes, but you'll also grow in ways you can't imagine. You'll have adventures, you'll make memories, you'll become a more interesting, capable, open-minded person.
And if you're currently living abroad and struggling, hang in there. What you're feeling is normal. Culture shock is real. Homesickness is real. But it gets better. You'll find your rhythm. You'll build your life there. Give it time.
And if you've lived abroad in the past, cherish those memories. Let that experience continue to shape who you are. The lessons you learned, the perspective you gained, the person you became, those are gifts that stay with you.
I'd love to hear from you. Have you lived abroad? Are you living abroad now? Are you considering it? What's your experience been? What challenges have you faced? What has surprised you? Leave a comment below and share your story.
And please, if you found this episode helpful or interesting, like and subscribe to English Club for more English learning podcasts. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being part of our community.
Remember, the world is big and diverse and full of amazing places and people. If you have the opportunity to experience life in another country, take it. It's one of the most valuable experiences you can have.
Be brave, be open, be patient with yourself, and remember that the challenges you face while living abroad are making you stronger and wiser.
See you in the next episode. Keep practicing your English and remember, you're doing great.
And if you're living abroad or planning to, good luck. It's an adventure. Embrace it. Bye for now.